Hello, May class, and welcome to your next English lesson. In today's lesson, you are going to be planning your very own graphic novel that has got an Egyptian theme, but it is also an adventure story. So we're going to be boxing up our ideas today, and then we're going to be spending the rest of the week actually designing and creating this graphic novel. So let me share my screen with you. So this week, we will be planning and writing our very own graphic novel adventure story. In this lesson that we're going to be looking at today, we will be planning our own adventure story that we will be presenting in a graphic novel format. So we're going to be using this structure to help us. Let me just get this so you can see it. So as you can see, I've got a box up format that we are quite used to using. And this one is boxing up our ideas into a 5-part story. And then it's also got some devices that you can use, so some examples of things that you can use in your writing. So we've got an opening, a build-up, a problem, a resolution, an ending, and we've got some writing devices that we've gone through already. So things like similes, metaphors, onomatopoeia. So we're going to be working through this today. I'm going to talk to you about what could go into it, and then you are going to be creating your own version of this box up with your ideas in them. So, right. Today, as we've mentioned, you are going to be planning your own adventure story, and we're going to start by giving it a title. So I want you to think, what is your adventure story going to be about? Is it going to be about a mummy escaping a tomb? Is it going to be about adventurers that are exploring Egypt? Is it going to be about some Egyptian slaves that have to escape a mummy? So give it a think of what would go into our adventure story. So pause for a moment, give yourself a few minutes to think about a title for your own adventure story. My title is going to be The Great Egyptian Adventure. Great Egyptian Adventure. And obviously, when you've got your box up, this can go at the top or at the bottom. You can also create a little thing that says title, and then you can put your title in to start that. Then we're going to look at the beginning of our story. So first on your boxing up grid is the opening part, and you need to decide on a new character. Who will your adventure be? Who will your main character be? Will it be a girl, a boy, or even a mummy? Or will it be a pharaoh? What will their name be? Will you go into a bit of a description about your character? So here are some examples of characters that you could use in your story. So I want you to think now, who is your story going to be about? In here, remember when we're using our box up, it's just short ideas about what is going to be used. We're not writing out the whole story in our box up. We're just using the box up to plan what we're going to say. So in here, I've given you an example. It says, who, introduce your character, where are they, what are they doing? So I'm going to start planning one as well. So just to show you what kinds of things need to go in here, but then you will write your own there. So this is a way of starting. We've got some fronted adverbials here of time. One day, long, long ago, many years ago. One hot summer's day in Egypt. Up to you of how to write this and what's going in there. So if you have more devices that you would like to add, some more examples of fronted adverbials or descriptive words, you can put them in here. or you could just make a list of things you need to remember. So in your opening paragraph, have you included an expanded noun phrase? Have you used your adjectives to describe your character? Have you included a simile that you could maybe use? So that's the kind of thing that you would put there on the devices. And then here I'm going to say my character is going to be an Egyptian man, or an Egyptian slave to be more specific. Okay, where are they? They're going to be in the desert. They're going to be building. And to answer what they're doing, building a pyramid. So I've just got some ideas there. You could include some of your vocabulary, like what expanded noun phrase. So I could say back-breaking hard work. I could say the very empty, sandy, dry, hot, empty. I've said it already. A desert. How would you describe the desert? Empty, gray, beige, because it's obviously of the beige sand. And think about how you would describe where he was. Think about how you would describe your character. Think about how you would describe what they were doing. So pause now and write your ideas for your opening in there. Right, moving on. You're going to now move on to your build-up. In your build-up, something is going to happen that will lead to the problem. Maybe something happens like someone gets lost, maybe they lose something, maybe they travel to a different place. Then you can think, how could they travel to that place? Did they ride a camel? Did they get into a wormhole? Did they find a time machine? Maybe even your story starts in the modern day. These young children find a time machine where they then travel back to learn more about ancient Egypt. So give it a think of how are you going to build it up? So remember, it's building up to something. So we're going to be using our descriptive language. We're going to be using our expanded noun phrases. We're going to be using our adjectives. We're going to be using our similes, our metaphors. We're going to be using our short, snappy sentences. Think about everything that we've done when we're writing this kind of story, and think about, okay, so how am I going to lead my story from introducing my character? How do I then lead it into our problem that we're going to have? So give it a pause and think about that now. I'm going to write in here, for me, I'm going to say he no longer wants to be a slave. He's tired of working by the pyramids. Maybe we can say he's tired of working the pyramids. He wants to escape. He wants a better life. That could be the build-up, building up to obviously where his adventure is going to take him. Where our problem is obviously that he no longer wants to work there. He has to escape. So give it a pause now and write your ideas into your box up for your build-up. Remember that your build-up doesn't have to be very long, but it can be significant because obviously it leads to the problem. So I'm going to have my character not pay attention and he breaks something. So my slave doesn't pay attention. And breaks something. Okay, so this is the build-up, because now the problem is going to be that the slave master is going to kill him. for breaking the Sphinx. Okay, and look at what I've written in there as devices. I've said using the word suddenly, or however, or unfortunately. You've used short sentences describing his feelings. Think about what he can see, what happens. What does he hear? What does he smell? How does he feel? Is he terrified? Is he excited? So think about what your character is feeling. Maybe they ask themselves a rhetorical question of like, what do they do now? How will they escape? Okay. And then my resolution is going to be that sorry, let me go onto that page. Okay, so what could your problem be? I want you to give it a think. So like I said, maybe your character breaks something. Maybe they get lost and they need to find a way home. A way home. Maybe they no longer want to have the job that they have. Maybe they find a portal to another time and they get stuck because it's obviously got to be a problem. Okay, maybe they find treasure and have to decide what to do with it. Maybe they get lost in the tombs. Maybe maybe you're a young adventurer discovering Egypt and then you get lost in the tombs. So give it a think of what you could do. Here's another few ideas that you could put. Maybe they get kidnapped. Maybe they run out of food and water. Maybe they get lost in the mountain, in the desert, in the jungle. Maybe they get lost in the pyramids. Maybe they get lost in the Egyptian desert. You can also think back to when we were describing our habitats. Think back to that and how you describe the desert. Use what you already know about it to put that description into your story. So I've already put my ideas for my problem into my box up. So you are going to pause the video now and finish your problem for this story. Once you have finished your problem, you're going to find your resolution. So the resolution is the part of your story where they find something that will help them fix their problem or find some treasure or their problem is resolved. So that is what I want you to think. So with my character that I had, he had to escape before he was put to death for breaking the Sphinx. And I said that to resolve this, he's going to steal a camel and he's going to ride away at night so that they can't catch him and that he is free. So that's his resolution, is he's going to run away at night. So like we could use the simile like a thief at night. So a thief at night, you wouldn't be able to see him. He steals away, he takes his camel, he steals away into the nighttime and he just disappears like a puff of smoke, gone. And he doesn't have to worry about his problem. He doesn't have to worry about the slave master anymore. And he's free to do what he wants. And he rides and he rides and he rides and he's free from his impending death, if we can describe it like that. So what would be amazing to find, or how could his problem, your problem, be fixed? I want you to give that a think now. And go to your box up again and complete how will this finish. So I'm going to say he steals, my character steals a camel and runs away at night. And I've written there what happens to solve the problem. Someone helps, they find an object. Remember to write a description. Look again at some of the words we can use. Suddenly, luckily, surprisingly. Okay, so give it a think of what is going to happen to fix your character's problem. And then finally, how does your story end? How does your story end? Does it have a happy ending? So in my story, I am going to have a happy ending. I'm going to say that he escapes and he finds a wonderful oasis that has got water, some trees, really somewhere that he can set up camp, and he decides to live his days there and be happy and no longer have to be a slave to the slave masters and build these horrible pyramids. He just gets to spend his day enjoying the water, enjoying the trees, enjoying the shade where it's nice and cool, and he doesn't have to work in the hot sun. He can set up a village there. He can build himself a tent or a little house by the river, because there's lots of things that he can use. There's obviously trees, the water, he can create mud. And that's how my story ends. So your story doesn't have to end with a happy ending, but I want you to give it a think of how your story is going to end. So as I've said to you, I've gone through what I'm going to be putting into my story map. So complete what you need to finish now. And I also want you to think, list some of the devices that you can use in your writing. So maybe you've got some ideas of a really interesting simile you want to include, or a metaphor, some of your onomatopoeia that you're going to include. So things like bang and pow and splat. So you can see I've put a few here that could be examples, just so that you have something to refer back to. And maybe you want to say in here whereabouts you're going to include it. So just in today's lesson, I want you really to think about the content of your story. What are you going to put into your 5-part adventure story? How are you going to make it interesting? What descriptive words are you going to use? What setting are you going to set? What setting are you using? Is it going to be in the tombs? Is it going to be in Egypt? Is it going to be in modern day, children going back to Egypt in a time machine? Really, really just give it a think. And I want you to try and make it Egyptian themed, because obviously that's what we've been learning about. So you are going to be doing this the whole week. So it's all right if we don't share every day on Tapestry what you are doing. You can just start by doing your planning today, and then tomorrow's lesson, you're going to be doing the beginning. And what is going to happen is that instead of you having to upload something every day, you're going to keep your adventure story that you are going to create, and then you are going to bring it into school when we come in next week. So you're going to be sharing your final book that you have created, your final graphic novel, when we come into school. So it doesn't need to be shared with us on Tapestry this week. This week, I want you to really take some time to plan this properly and then create this story. We're going to be creating little bits and little bits every day, and I want you really to take some time creating this story and making it great.